This is one of the most dedicated, dynamic groups I have met. You guys are just unbelievable. And I would like to thank all of you. I don't want to single out one or two people, which I can still do. Sai, we all know, just Jaime and everybody else. So there we go. There we go. You know that. Okay. But really, everyone has put their heart and soul, doesn't matter how small the act was, with love, dedication, and devotion, everyone has poured in. It is just unbelievable. My heart is full, and you guys opened your heart Friday, Saturday, and received me with open arms, open heart, open mind to new ideas, and you were vulnerable and be willing to just go through different experiences. And I am humbled, I am honored, and I really appreciate it from my heart. So thank you. So now we're gonna go through, there you go, you're good, he's good, he's good, he's good. We're gonna go through a brief light meditation. I know it's very hard to meditate immediately after such a dynamic program, and we're trying to get some chai, coffee, and beautiful snacks. So I'll go through quick steps, and then we'll go through a very brief meditative experience. So, light is a symbol of God. Very simple. No matter which religion you go to, you'll see light. And that golden light symbolizes divinity or God. It doesn't have to have any name. No matter how many candles you light from a single flame, it doesn't diminish the original candle. And that's the quality of divinity. You can take as much as you want from it and does not diminish. So we're going to imagine a light or look at the light. There'll be some projection. And you take the light and you enter it in your third eye, middle of your forehead. So we are not taking our journey out, we're taking a journey in. So you enter through you enter through the front door of your house as you enter. So this is the front door of our house inside. So when you take the light, you install the light, which is God, in the temple of your heart. So you bring that light from the forehead, which is the front door of your temple, because Swami says your body is the temple of God. And you bring it down to your heart. You install it there, and then you take that light and spread it everywhere. That is light meditation. So what is the process? You take and simply shower of light from head to toe. And you give it to all your senses, starting from your head. So what light is doing, it is getting rid of bad stuff and giving you good stuff, simply. So getting rid of bad thoughts, giving you good thoughts. I see good, I hear good, I taste good, means food that's good for me. And I speak good, not hurtful things. With my hands and arms, I do good. My whole body is healthy, it's good. And my legs and feet, it takes me to good places. We can't just bring light to ourselves, that will be selfish. We share it. And you let what is that song? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. So that take that light and let it shine. That's what we're gonna do. Well, let it shine. From my body, it's gonna shine. Which direction is it gonna shine? All over. So it's gonna shine in this room, in North Carolina, United States, the Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, and beyond. At that point, I am in the light. And light is God. Light is a symbol of God, which is in my heart, right? Which is, I'm already purified myself, so I'm good. Now, take that light and share it. And Swami said that meditation is beyond senses. First, we purify our senses, then it is beyond our senses. We see that light everywhere in the universe. And then we wait and experience whatever you do experience, feeling oneness with everything in the universe. The light is in me and I am in the light. So how do you experience? We have heard Swami say, I am in you, around you, above you, below you. And this is light meditation, is an actual experience of that. And then you bring that light back into the heart. Do it daily, just the way you take shower daily. Is it good? So, meditation is a spiritual experience, because we deal with the spiritual experience. Because spiritual is not outside, spiritual is inside. I am not teaching you how to meditate, I'm only sharing with you the process or steps or method. You yourself are going to meditate. What experience are you going to have? I don't know. Nobody else knows. Each person has a unique experience, and whatever experience you have is a gift from Baba, because Baba is that light and He's going to take you on a journey. Do it daily, and each time you go through a new experience. And so what else you can do? Sometimes we have problems in our life related to our body, health. Do the light meditation and take the light to give it to that part of your body which is not well. Sometimes we have problems with our head. Bad thoughts come. What do we do with that? You take the light, you give it to your head, so that all the bad thoughts, negative thoughts will go away. Sometimes we have bad feelings in our heart. What do? We take that light to give to our heart so that our feelings are purified. Sometimes we don't know what to do with the world outside. We are so upset, really bad things are happening, and we don't know how to help people. Well, take this light, give it to them. This is the best service you can do. Why? Why not give God to people instead of giving $5? Think about it. It's the highest form of service. You can do it daily. So, you guys are awesome, unbelievable. Everybody's quiet. And that's called dynamism. You're a dynamic group. You are singing, dancing, doing amazing plays. 200 people are being fed in 15 minutes and everybody's quiet. That shows you how amazing you are. And I'm amazed by it. Are you amazed by yourselves? Yeah. That's amazing, yeah. You guys are so humble, right? Okay. Relax. Put your hands in the open bowl position. You can do meditation with your eyes open or closed. Try to do meditation today with eyes open. It's possible. If you want to keep it closed, also okay. So, there is a light behind, and the projection, a flame. You can focus on that flame. You can focus on Baba. Look at that altar. The altar is in the shape of a flame. You can use that for light meditation. Beautiful altar. So look at that flame we were talking about is God, and God is flame. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So look at the flame, real or imaginary. If you want to close your eyes, that's fine. Take that light and let it enter your forehead, which is the entry to your inside. The third eye, right in the middle of the forehead. Imagine a light there. Imagine a flame. Imagine or bring that light down into your heart, middle of your chest. Not your physical heart, that's your spiritual heart. Swami says, my center is in your heart. Your body is a temple of heart. Welcome Baba in your heart by taking the light from the forehead into your heart. As the light shines in my heart, all my feelings are purified. Now you take that light and give it a shower from head to toe. As the light descends on my head, all my thoughts are good. I think good. To my eyes see only good in others. Ears, I hear and I want to hear only good, not bad about others. Give the light to your mouth. I eat things which are good for me. I speak truthful, unhurtful, good words. And the shower of light goes from my head, down my shoulders. My burden that I've been carrying on my shoulder is light, because light is shining on my shoulders. The light goes down my arms, my hands. I do good with these hands. My entire torso, my stomach area is filled with light. All the organs in my body are functioning in healthy, good condition. The light goes down my legs and my feet. I go to places which are good for me. Let that light shine in expanding spheres. This entire beautiful hall is filled with Baba's light. Light is a symbol of God. Let it shine. And the light expands into the entire state of North Carolina. The United States is shining with this light. The entire planet Earth, plants, animals, insects, birds, sea creatures, all the 5 elements, the oceans, the mountains, the atmosphere, everything down to the core of the earth is filled with light. The light expands into the entire solar system, Milky Way. The entire universe is filled with light, and the light continues to expand. Just like the sound Om, which started the universe, continues to expand. Stay in this oneness with the universe, with everyone and everything for a few moments, and enjoy this meditation. Swim in it. Love it. I am in the light. I love the light. I am a child of the light. I'm radiant energy flowing through every cell of my body right now. I am God. I am not different from God. I'm the indivisible, supreme, absolute. I am Sat, Chit, Ananda. Take this light which is in the entire universe, bring it back to your heart. Come back to present moment. Stretch like a cat or a dog coming out of sleep. And now we'll welcome Sangeeta, who Swami told me in one of our interview, "You're not so good, but she's good. So let's see what good is." Sangeeta.
Sai Ram. My most humble pranams at Swami's lotus feet, and my utmost gratitude to Swami for bringing us here, and my utmost gratitude to all of you for giving us an opportunity to relive our own experiences. As Sunil, I just want to reiterate what Sunil said. that he's having an amazing time here because you're amazing. And I can attest that for the last 2 days when I was back home, the kids and I, we didn't hear from him much because I think he was very immersed in your presence and in your love. So again, thank you. I'm going to wait till, well, I'll just start. I'll just start. I feel, oh, thank you. I feel the best way I can talk about myself is to just give you a glimpse of what my journey has been with Swami, or rather Swami's journey for me. And it was 1989, and it was the second time that I had, my family and I had gone to see Swami. So it was just like the picture, and still there was sand, there was no, ceiling, and it was still, there were still devotees, but not that many. And truthfully, I didn't know Swami just that well. I was 15 years old, and I was just beginning to understand who Swami was or what Swami was about. I grew up believing in Guru Nanak, and I believed in God. My family is very pious, but I didn't really understand Sathya Sai Baba and what spirituality meant. And so this was our second trip. My mom and I were sitting, and my brother and my dad were sitting in the men's side, and it seems that Swami had called them for an interview. And so now I don't know this, I don't know what's happening. All I know is my mom notices that Swami's talking to my dad and my brother, and they look like they're starting to get up. So so my mom is motioning to me. We don't know what to do, but my mom is telling me, she's like, look, that's them, And so the Sevadal hears her and says, oh, is that your husband? Is that your family? Yeah. Okay. So my mom says, yes, that's my husband. And then they said, well, then if they're going, you must go too. So my mom said, okay. So now my mom's getting up, and she's saying, let's go, let's go. And you have to understand, I am a 15-year-old girl who, first time experiencing this, and I told my mom, I said, I'm not walking in front of all these people. And she said, and the Sevadal saying, yes, and now everyone, how everyone gets, go, go, go. And I said, I am not going there only to be told to come back and be humiliated in front of everybody. So, needless to say, my mom forced me, and my legs were shaking as I walked through the sand and into the veranda. Now, we're seated while Swami is now going around giving, darshan. When Swami comes into the veranda, he is now motioning for everyone who's seated there to come in to go inside his room. I was all the way in the back, and I continued to stay all the way in the back. And Swami then, motioned, he was motioning for everyone to come. And as he was motioning for me to come, I thought I would be the polite person that I was, and respectful person. When Swami sent everyone in, I looked at Swami and I said, you first. And I start by saying this because you would think to yourself, my God, this girl is crazy. What is she doing? But I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to be. And I didn't really understand Swami. And Swami looked at me and he made this mad face, like, what? And then he said, go inside. So I went inside and I was very scared. The best way I can describe about how I felt around Swami's presence was it felt like this big ball of energy. This kind of energy that if I touched it, I would get a shock. And I could feel his energy. And I was very frightened, and I made sure that I sat all the way in the back. I'm going to fast forward this interview. He spoke, so when he called us in privately, it was just the four of us. He spoke about the center, he spoke about my mom, my dad, my brother, studies and whatnot. And then he looked at me and he said, and he spoke to us in English, and he looked at me and he said, I know you're studying, you're opening your books in your room. And then he says, you have your eyes on your books, but your mind is elsewhere. I know, I'm there. And truthfully, by then, all I was doing was crying. I said, yes, you're right, yes. And I was just happy. I was just happy that he was right. That, yes, you're right, I was, and I'm happy that you know this about me. And then, of course, I think even though I was only 15, I guess the only thing on my mom's mind is my daughter's marriage. But I'm only 15, and I didn't know this was on her mind, mind you. But Swami looked at my mom and said, Amma, I know what's on your mind. Don't worry. I have a plan for her. I will find her husband. So, henceforth began my journey with Swami without me even realizing it. So we had this wonderful experience. And after the interview, I'm thinking, now this person who I'm still beginning to understand, I think, and now he's my best friend because he just took us in and chatted with us. So the next day, I wanted to write a letter of gratitude to Swami, so I wrote a thank you letter for calling us and talking to us. And when he gave darshan, I wanted to give him the letter, but he ignored me. He ignored me the first day, and the second day, and the third day, times 2, because morning and afternoon darshan. And now I'm not happy anymore, and I'm telling my father, I would say, I'm not sure I understand this. Why is Swami being so rude to us? And he said, what do you mean? I said, the other day he talked to us as though we were his best friends, and now he's ignoring us. I don't get it. And I can tell you, so we had some friends, and they said, well, it was almost time to leave, Parthi. So they said, well, you can just mail this letter to Swami. And I said, well, that's really not the same thing. But okay, so I did. And yet again began my journey of, now I want Swami's attention. So we'll go to the, I don't know if this works. Yeah, a friend in Sai. So I am now, when we go back to the center in Miami, so I grew up in this region, I've started to go, I wasn't really going into SSC, I don't think there was anything for my group, but I ended up attending bhajans. Now my father and I are singing bhajans every morning at home. I'm joining study circles with the adults. I want to talk to Swami again. And it was like Swami planted the seed in me without me even realizing it. And I was on a mission. And so I got very involved in the center. And there were no young adults. There was no such thing as a young adult group at the time. So one day, any teenagers here in the room? No teenagers? One? Anybody who has teenagers as kids? And more? Anyone here been a teenager before? Okay. So perhaps you'll understand when I tell you that, I had a fight with my best friend, and I was very sad that night. So sad that I didn't want to talk to anybody. So sad that I looked at Swami's picture, who did not look like the picture you see on the screen, did not look like the picture of your altar, but like a perhaps 50-year-old Swami. And I looked at Swami's picture and I cried because it was the end of my world. And I cried and I said, Swami, you say to a young person, you're a young person. And to an old person, you're an old person. Whoever you are, whoever we are, you're a reflection of that. Well, today, I need a friend, and you're 50 years old. And I don't know how you can help me. And I was sad, and I cried myself to sleep with nobody but me and 50-year-old Swami knowing this. This was a Thursday, and I know this because on Saturday, it was, a weekend, we get something in the mail. It's Saturday afternoon, and I go and check the mail, and there comes a manila envelope. The manila envelope it's addressed to me, but the way it is written, it's as if written by a child, a young child, the way my name and address is written. The return, there is no return address, except what you see there. A friend in Sai. And the handwriting in A Friend in Sai is very similar to what you see on the screen. It's more adult handwriting. And it's a manila padded envelope. And I take it to my dad, actually, and I don't even know what it is. I'm thinking it's really, and he says, let's just open it up. And I open it up, and there is 11 by 14, black and white, laminated photo, exactly of the photo that you see in this picture. The beauty of God is He remembers and feels every tear we shed. But we forget, but God never forgets. So the irony of this is that I didn't even remember what happened 2 days ago, because I was friends again with my best friend. And my father looks at me, and I look at him. And he says, well, what is this? I said, I don't know. Well, why did you get this? I don't know. Who sent it? I don't know. Well, all I know is I'll take it and keep it in my room. And that's exactly what I did. And it took me a good few minutes to realize as I put it in my room that it was just 2 days ago that I cried for a young Swami. Now, you may wonder, well, how does this happen? Do miracles happen? I never had a problem believing in miracles, but I always wondered, just how did this happen? There was no Puttaparthi postmark or anything. A year later, now when everything is forgotten, there was a workshop or something at the center, and I'm sitting and we're just chatting with some of our teachers. And we had a teacher who used to be with us, and she moved to another part of Florida, and she was visiting. And we were just, exchanging pleasantries. And after that, she suddenly said to me, she said, oh, by the way, how did you like the picture? And I said, what picture? And she said, well, didn't you get a black and white picture of Swami? And I looked at her, I said, yes, as a matter of fact, I did. How do you know? And there she had a smirk on her face. And I said, you sent it to me? And she laughed and said, yes. And I thought, well, I asked her, I said, why did you send it to me? And how? And what? And she says, well, the truth is, I don't even know myself. Somebody gifted me that photo, and I decided it was like chauffeur-driven consciousness. She said, somebody gifted me the photo, and the first thing I knew I had to do was send it to you. And I said, yeah, but you wrote A Friend in Sai. She said, whatever was coming to me in my heart and in my mind is what I did. And so I knew then that miracles do happen, that Swami does listen to everything that we say. And I also knew that just as she was an instrument, a perfect instrument, because she allowed herself to work through, herself to be an instrument for Swami, each one of us become instruments if we allow him to. She didn't question it. She didn't call me and say, I'm getting this message to send you this picture. She just did it because that's what was coming to her. I have 2 pointers. I don't know which one I'm supposed to use. Okay, thank you. So now my learnings are beginning, and I'm starting to read more. And remember, I still want Swami's attention. Now, it was 1989 when Swami last spoke to me. I can assure you, I went back to Puttaparthi many times after that, and I can assure you that Swami never looked at me again. And he just, all I can say is he made my yearning, my desire for him so great that it just wasn't enough. It just needed to be more and more. In 1994, actually, Sunil and Hal Honig and a few others, they had come to, in early 1995, they had come to Miami, and they were also in the beginnings of the young adult program in the US. And we now had a good group of youth in Miami that also wanted to start to get together and learn more about Swami. And so, and I know California was also like in that situation, Boston was in that situation, so, and I also know North Carolina, Atlanta, there were a group of us that were wanting to do work. So we started to form these ad hoc young adult groups. And in summer course 1995, there was a lady from New York who was taking groups. She had already taken a group of girls once or twice, and I came to know about this group of girls going. So there were 3 of us from Miami and 9 from other parts of the country. And she had received permission from Swami to take us to summer course. And if you're familiar with summer course, it happens in Vrindavan. It happens typically in May, and all of Swami's students are there. And this year we had, Sunil had his group, Hal Honig had his group of 18 boys from the US, and Auntie Deepa Awal from New York had 12 of us from the US. There was also a group from Malaysia at the time. I would say that it was summer course when I really, really began to understand what Swami's messages were for youth and his expectations of youth. We learned a lot of things. We would learn little nuances, like when we were walking to go attend the lectures. We were told that the boys go first, then the girls go. Why? And you would think it's not a big deal. The boys go sit in the auditorium, or the boys move first and then the girls. And I would think, well, I wouldn't think about it, actually. But then we were told later that, well, actually, in the end, the girls need to sit in the auditorium first, and then the boys would sit. Why? Because if the boys sit first, and then the girls come, the boys are looking at the girls, but not vice versa. If you don't believe me, there was an opportunity when Swami called both of our groups in, Hal Honig's group, USA group of 18 boys, and our group of 12 girls. When he called us in for an interview in Raleigh, he was starting to ask us questions like, oh, are you enjoying the summer course? Did you have a good time? How was the food? So by the way, for me, I don't take spicy food at all. So many times I always had a bottle of water with me. And people used to tell me to hide it when Swami would come in the canteen to eat, because for some reason, I was told to hide it because Swami would not like it if I had that bottle of water. But the truth is, I could not handle the food. So Swami asked us, he said, how was the food? How was it nice? And everyone's saying, and of course, when Swami is asking you, you say, yes, 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 Swami, the food was good. Yes, yes, yes. And he said, no, for some of you, it was very spicy. Then he said, how was this? How are the lectures? How was the summer course? We said, good, Swami, good, Swami. What was it about? Then he asked us. And it was on Bhagavatam that year. And then he said, it was about controlling the senses. Then Swami asked us, how are the lectures? How are they? We said, Swami, good, 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 good. So now he looks at the boys and says, how do you know? You were too busy looking at the girls. And the sweetness about what Swami says is how he says it. He's clearly teaching a lesson to us, right? But it's how he says it. He make that comment, and then he would just break out into laughter and be ha ha ha, because he just knows it's what happens, and he does it with sweetness. Then he talked about controlling the senses. So he said, how do you control the senses? He said, if you are in a group with a group of friends and they're talking negatively, what do you do? And then Swami, with his hands, motioned to us. He says, will you just close your ears? Which of course looks silly. So he says, no, you wouldn't close your ears, you would walk away. Then he said, if there's something on TV, he said, then if there's something on TV and it's negative on TV, what would you do? Would you close your eyes? And he actually physically with his hands did that for us. And of course make us laugh, but make a very important point. He said, no, you would change the channel. Likewise, you cannot control the senses. You must, what word do you think he used? I heard something. Change your focus? Guide? Remember, you are walking away, you are changing the channel, redirecting. He said, divert your senses. And that's a message that I am always remembering. You cannot control the senses, but you can divert the senses. Divert the senses. So throughout the summer course, he continued to give us lots of lessons, a lot of messages, but he also showered a lot of love. So one big message that I got out of summer course was the message of unity. Now, there was a time period where, and I still joke about this, but I was very upset. Swami, every day during darshan, would come, completely ignore us, and this was towards the beginning of our trip when we got there. He would completely ignore us, go everywhere we were not, and always go to the boys. Always. And we were getting very upset. We started to get jealous and said, what is this? Swami is only talking to the boys. Do we need to wear wigs? Do we need to become boys? What is this? And one day, our group leader, Auntie Deepa, said, why don't we write a note for Swami? Because he really was visibly ignoring us. So there were 12 of us, and she said, let's all write a letter to Swami. And she made a very important point. She said, don't just write about anything. Don't write about your personal interests, your personal requests for Swami. Everyone has to write about the same thing, which is, Swami, we would like you to come to us. Swami, please talk to us. Because since we had arrived, he had not talked to us. And she says, of course, you write it in your own words, but the message needs to be one, in unity. So that evening, we had all written letters to Swami with the same message, and somebody had made a card. Immediately, the next morning, Swami did not go anywhere else. As soon as darshan started, he came and straight came to us. And he looked at us and said, oh, you have come. When? In true Swami fashion. By then, some of us were already sick. So he, right then and there, materialized vibhuti for us. And that vibhuti, if the best way I could describe it is, it's like Tylenol crumble, like crushed. It was white and it was bitter, truly like medicine for all of us. Then, as the days went by, Swami, would give some attention to us, but there wasn't a day or a darshan that went by he would not look at the boys or talk to the boys. So we were still not very happy. When the summer course was over, he called us in for our interview together. Following that, he had said to us, just the girls, that he said, I want you to sing. During darshan, bhajans are sung. So he said, I want you to sing. And so we just knew that was going to happen, but we didn't know when, we didn't know how, we didn't know anything. Now days again went by when he was not looking at us. Suddenly, one day, one of the Anantapur teachers came to us and said, it's time, Swami wants you guys to sing, but he wants you to sing with the Malaysia group. So we got together with the Malaysia group, and we knew that we were going to sing 9 bhajans. So what happened is, we were told, so we got together with the group of Malaysian girls, and we decided, 9 bhajans will alternate. Ganesha, USA, Guru, Malaysia, Ma, USA. So we were just going to alternate. And the 9th bhajan, which was Humko Tumse, we would sing together. So I had written in a diary, who was going to sing what. And then we started practicing. And we practiced. And then for Humko Tumse, we actually had the Anantapur girls teach us properly with the Telugu version so that we really sing it well, because that's our finale, and that's a beautiful bhajan for Swami. So we must have sang that I don't know how many times. So now we still don't know exactly when we are going to sing, but we know we are going to sing, and we're practicing and practicing together. So suddenly one darshan is over, one of the darshans is over, and we're about to leave, and one of the Sevadals comes and says, Swami's calling, Swami's calling. And it was a very big surprise to all of us. Suddenly, we go outside Swami's house in Trae, and we're asked to sit outside his house. And suddenly Swami comes out all glowing, all radiant. And he comes out with people to bring us saris, pink and purple saris. And the Malaysia group was there, and our group was there. He one by one comes and gives us saris with a big smile, allows us to take Mat Namaskar, gives us blessings. And as soon as he's done giving us saris, he tells us, he says, wear this sari tomorrow, and we're supposed to be singing, wear this sari tomorrow. And then, as he's leaving, he turns around and said, see, I didn't give boys, because he knew we would not be happy about that. And so Swami knows our every thought. So now we're supposed to sing bhajans, and it's supposed to be the next day. The next day, before we sing bhajans, Swami calls us in for an interview. And this time again, it's just the USA girls. And when we go in, and the boys, of course, are there, let's not forget. But then in the private room, it's just the girls, and now he's talking to us. He's talking to us about our personal lives. He's talking to us. We're all in college. He's giving us advice. He's giving us advice on marriage. He's talking about everything with us. And then he talks about our bhajans that we're going to sing. And he asks, which bhajans are you going to sing? So now I'm very proudly ready to give him the journal that I have written, and now he will get to read my writing. So I proudly give it to him, and he looks at it. And now I'm excited that Swami is holding the journal that is mine. And he looks at it and has a frown on his face. And then he says, who wrote this? And now suddenly I don't really want to tell him it's me. And I said, me, Swami. And he looked at me, he said, what is this? Gajavadana, USA, Guru Baba, Malaysia. What is this? And now I'm thinking, I'm not sure. First I thought, is it my writing? What is it? And then he said, no unity. All bhajans sung together, not separate. Not USA, not Malaysia, together. Then he looks at the list, and at the last bhajan is Humko Tumse. And that's exactly what Swami does. He sings the first line to all of us. And he's singing, Humko Tumse Pyar Kitna. And he's smiling, and he's singing to us. And then he says, you were practicing. I know, I was there. Now, at that moment, we are just overflowed with love, overflowed with joy. But Swami doesn't say anything, does not waste a single word. So it turns out that it was the following day that we sang bhajans. Now, meanwhile, let's not forget, the boys have already sung bhajans. That had to happen, right? So we sing bhajans, and we are given very specific instructions, how much gap between each bhajan, and the biggest instruction is if Swami moves his footstool, that's your signal. It could be in the middle of a bhajan, it could be the start of a bhajan, that's your arti cue. So we were ready for that. But we're thinking that's not happening. So we're singing the bhajans, everything is going just beautifully. And right when we are about to start, Humko Tumse, the footstool. So I think we were not ready, and we did not want to end, but I don't think we had a choice, and we started Aarti, and Swami left. There was this sudden sort of a shock to all of us. We were sad. And when we came back to the room and just discussing everything, we were sad. We were thinking, oh, that's the bhajan that we wanted to sing for Swami. That was our favorite bhajan. That's our bhajan of love for Swami. And that's the bhajan Swami didn't want to hear. But what do you think as one of the girls realized? Anybody? What did you realize? What do you think? More practice, okay, possible? Swami already had heard it. Who are we singing for? We are singing for Swami. and he wanted to tell us, I already heard it. So Swami's messages are very important. He also shows us in so many ways and so many different experiences that he's very much with us all the time. Just to give you an example, another young adult and myself from Miami, we had made a bhajan book for the center in Miami. And that bhajan book was a bhajan book we wanted Swami to sign. So in that was a picture of Swami that we wanted him to sign. So in one of the interviews, we were able to give it to him. And as Swami is opening this bhajan book of hundreds of bhajans, hundreds. Now I thought, again, that, and again I was proudly giving it to Swami, I thought there isn't a bhajan that's not in there. I mean, we must have gone through every bhajan book, and in English and in Spanish, and you name it, the bhajan was there. And what does Swami do? He opens the bhajan book, and he's just flipping, and he sings a bhajan. He sings, Bhajo Bhajo Ram. I'm not a very good singer. So he sings Bhajo Bhajo Ram, Sathya Sai Ram. And I'm thinking, oh, how sweet, Swami singing a bhajan while he's looking at our bhajan book. Oh, how sweet, this happens to be one of my mom's favorite bhajans, how sweet. Then we went back in our room after the interview, and one of the girls said, oh, what was that bhajan that Swami sang? I said, oh, it was Bhajo Bhajo Ram. And then I quickly flipped the book, the bhajan book, to find that bhajan, and guess what? It's not there. So, Swami, in his very sweet style and loving fashion, shows us he is everywhere, and yes, we make mistakes. So, he did that a lot. Another thing he did, I still remember now, is when we were done with our summer course, the Anantapur girls were there, as were we, and Swami was coming out giving gifts to all of the girls. And there was boxes and boxes of snacks, savory snacks, and then there were boxes of bottles. And he took out a bottle in front of all the girls. He took out a bottle and said, mango juice, not alcohol. And then he also laughed, but he was giving a very important message. Yeah, we can. So I'm going to have to, this is on self-confidence. So I put this quotation there because, and I also know that it was mentioned in the play, and I'll just gloss over this, but something that we had a chance to ask Swami was, Swami, how can we have more faith in you? And we must have asked that question to Swami so many times, and all Swami kept saying is, before faith in me, you must have confidence in yourself. And the importance of self-confidence is so much more than faith in God, because you cannot have faith in God unless you have confidence in yourself. We'll go to the next slide. Can I? Okay. So before I just jump to 2000, and if you're looking for me, I'm not in there, but in 97 was the first World Youth Conference, and I just have to say this, when I talk about, Swami talked about so many things to us youth. Swami had one thing he did, and I would encourage everybody. I always encourage our group 4 kids to read it. I always encourage our young adults. Swami talks about everything to youth. And in the first World Youth Conference in 97, he actually talked about relevant topics that even today's youth, everyone faces. So I would encourage that for everyone. I wanted to mention that. 2000, we were at the EHV conference. By then, Sunil and I were married. And we were at the 2000 conference. And when I saw Swami talk about the field of education, and in a discourse, he was giving diplomas to the Zambian students. He was also giving diplomas to the teachers at the Zambian Institute. I was so impressed, because my background is in business. I was so impressed that Swami was going on. He says, he was going on and on about the teaching profession. He says, if you're a teacher, I know you don't get paid that much, but I will take care of you. I will take care of your family if you become a teacher. And I remember sitting in that hall, watching those people getting their diplomas, sitting there thinking, that's it, I'm going to become a teacher. And if we can go to the next slide. This is just a little tidbit, what Swami says about teachers. There are 3 types of teachers. Do we know who they are? One who complain. Who are the other 2? Do you know? Explains. And the other? Inspires. Exactly. We'll go to the next slide. This is in 2001, and this is just half of our group. So we had a group from New York go. There were about 18 of us, or 20 of us. And in that group, Swami had seen us about 3 times. In that time also, he gave us an opportunity to sing for him in the mandir. But it was in that time that Sunil and I had personal time with Swami. But prior to that, actually, one of the interviews, we were all together, and of course, when you're with Swami, what do you want to know? You want to know when you'll get married, when you'll have a good job, when you'll have kids, all the good stuff in life, right? So, of course, we all have those questions for Swami. So now Swami is now ready to answer all the questions. But the first personal question that came up, Swami said, no, spiritual questions only. But that's a very hard pill for us to swallow, because this is your time with the Lord of the universe and spiritual questions only. So, of course, in your spiritual question, you kind of ask a personal question. And Swami was relentless. Swami said, no. And it was the sweetest thing, because he was so personal with us. He said, no, he says, I told you spiritual questions only. I will talk to you later. But Swami, spiritual questions only. And that was a very special time for us, because Swami was laughing and joking. And in fact, at one point, the clock cuckooed. And it was, I guess, 4 p.m. And the clock cuckooed, and Swami started singing, 1, 2, buckle your shoe. And he's actually doing this nursery rhyme with it. 1, 2, buckle your shoe. 3, 4, shut the door. 5, 6, pick up sticks. 7, 8, don't be late. And then he just chuckled. And then he had closed the door at one point, because there was another family there. He sent them out after seeing them, giving them their interview. He shut the door and said, now we are one family. And then followed spiritual questions only. So it was a very special time for us, because we did have a chance to ask spiritual questions. I asked a question. There are some questions here that I put up. What is meditation? We can click on the next one. And I believe this document has been shared with you as well. And we can go to the next question. We can actually skip this slide. And this one. Again, these questions are all in a document which I had shared with Brother Jaime. So I asked a question, or I told Swami, I said, Swami, I just want to serve you. Now, I'm going to play a video clip before we do. Have you ever heard the phrase, be careful what you ask for? So not too long ago, we had watched a movie as a family with our 2 boys called God Almighty with Morgan Freeman. It's an English movie. And I don't know how many of you have watched it. But the entire time of the movie, all I kept thinking about was Swami. And because it's this gentleman who comes in as God. And just to give you some context, because if you watch the movie, I don't want to give away the ending. But Morgan Freeman comes in as God and goes to somebody and says, I want you to build an ark, because there is a flood coming. And this man, he faces difficulty. The whole world thinks he's crazy. He's building an ark because God told him to. And everyone's making fun of him. But he now has to have this immense faith that God's word is true. God said there will be a flood. There must be a flood. God said, I have to do this. I'm on a mission. But he had to deal with a lot of adversity, a lot of ridicule. But he had to be very strong in his faith. Let's just watch a very short clip. And that's the gentleman's wife, who now even she thinks her husband.
Coming right up.
Thank you.
Excuse me, are you all right?
Yeah. No, it's a long story.
Well, I like stories. I'm considered a bit of a storyteller myself.
My husband, have you heard of New York's Noah?
The guy who's building the ark.
That's him.
I love that story. Knowing the ark. You know, a lot of people miss the point of that story. They think it's about God's wrath and anger. They love it when God gets angry.
What is the story about then, the ark?
Well, I think it's a love story about believing in each other. You know, the animals showed up in pairs. You know, they stood by each other, side by side, just like Noah and his family. Everybody entered the ark side by side.
But my husband says God told him to do it.
She doesn't know he's...
What do you do with that?
Sounds like an opportunity. Let me ask you something. If someone prays for patience, you think God gives them patience? Or does he give them the opportunity to be patient? If they prayed for courage, does God give them courage, or does he give them opportunities to be courageous? If someone prayed for the family to be closer, do you think God zaps them with warm, fuzzy feelings? Or does he give them opportunities to love each other? Well, I gotta run. A lot of people to serve. Enjoy.
That's it. I don't know how much you could hear from that, but he said if you ask God for patience, he doesn't just give you the patience, he gives you opportunities for patience, which is quite the opposite of what we think when we ask for it. So I asked Swami, or I said to Swami, Swami, I just want to serve you. When should I serve, or who should I serve? Actually, Swami said, serve the homeless, serve the elderly, serve the diseased. But then he also said, serve 24 hours a day. Now, I didn't know what I was getting into when I said, Swami, I want to serve you. Well, this is in 2007 at the first World Youth Conference. So I'm going to now talk about that. By then, Swami had, in the interviews, talked a lot to Sunil and me about blessing us with children, having children, and even though I wasn't ready at the time, he kept talking about it. And I always used to think, when Swami says serve 24 hours a day, who else will you stay up 24 hours for but babies, right? Kids. Well, my kid grew up, and I was still somehow awake 24 hours a day. After I actually had Krishna, our now older son, I was asked to be the youth coordinator for the country. And I remember thinking, this is a joke. I just had a baby. I thought I'm done being a young adult. And Dr. Harvey at the time, he said, no, I think you're just perfect for the position now. And I didn't understand it then, but I had just stopped teaching. I had stopped my job so I could be home with Krishna. So thus started my journey of being a coordinator. In 2007 was the third World Youth Conference. And at that time, thank you. At that time, one of the things they were going to have was an exhibition, in addition to everything else that happens in the conference. Now, if you know anything about me, there are a few things. One, I don't know whenever, like any conference, anything happens anywhere, in regions, in Puttaparthi, you'll never find me in an exhibition hall. You'll never find me performing in a play or singing, unless it's for, something. And where you'll find me is just probably in a canteen doing dishes or doing seva like that. So, and the other thing you have to know about me is I don't know anything about art, no architecture, none of that. So at the time, the International Youth Coordinator, Shitu, he called me from UK and said, Sangeeta, we have to put this conference together for 2007, and I was meditating and really asking Swami to guide me, and he gave me your name for exhibition. And I remember Sunil was next to me at that time, and I said to Shitu, Shitu, I'm sorry, I don't think you know me. No, Sangeeta, this was in my meditation, your name came. And I said, that's nice, but I don't think you thought this through. And I looked at Sunil, and Sunil said, yeah, you can't do it. He didn't think this through. So I had my undying support, but he was right. And And I said, Chitu, I'm sorry, but I really think you need to figure this out. And he looked at me, he said to me on the phone, he said, Sangeeta, I think you should meditate and ask Swami to help you figure it out. And I still remember that day. And I cannot tell you, I've never been to an exhibition. I don't know anything about an exhibition. And so at the time Phyllis Crystal was alive, and I had called her. And I said, Phyllis, I don't understand. What do I do? And she was laughing her head off. I said, how can you laugh? I'm the worst person for this job, and now I'm supposed to do this. What do I do? And she said, well, I'm laughing because now you can be a perfect instrument. You have to be hollow as a flute. Only then God can play music through you. So allow him to do it. And then she said, yes, and meditate and ask him to figure it out. So the journey of that exhibition began. We'll click to the next screen. I was given 7,000 square feet, which is the current exhibition hall, second floor, with nothing. And I was asked to reach out to all the zonal coordinators, the youth coordinators, and figure it out. What's the theme? Not sure. What are we doing? Not sure. Figure it out. So one by one, Swami started to, and one day it was in my sleep, I think I got all these ideas and I started writing everything down. And one by one, there was a team, there was an architect, there was 2 architects, there were artists, there were everyone. We got everyone from all over the world to get together. And we had conference calls, and Australia is many hours ahead of us. And before I knew it, I was working 24 hours a day. And it was the most amazing experience of becoming an instrument of Swami, which is, I'm still working on that. But I feel that's one of my life goals, is to really, truly be that hollow flute. I got an opportunity to be that hollow flute because guess what? I don't know anything about anything. And we would have the architect on the phone, and he would, say, well, how do you want this? And I would say, I don't know. How do you think we should have it? Then I had a contractor from India on the phone, and he would say, okay, ma'am, you want a lotus flower. If you can see, there's a lotus flower in the middle. You want Swami on the lotus flower. Okay, how big do you want the lotus flower? I said, well, here's the dimensions. How big do you think it should be? And how much, okay, ma'am, what is your budget? I said, what is your budget? And then he would quote me some price in rupees. Now, it's bad enough that I don't even know how much anything costs. And then I said, oh, that sounds like a good plan. That's a great idea. That, I think, is affordable. I'll put it on the spreadsheet. And he said, ma'am, that's for 1 pedal. And I said, that is also fine. Just, we'll go with that. Then the artist would say, well, what color flow do you want? I said, great question. What color flow do you want? And they said, and you can ask my supporting husband, the architect was breaking his head thinking, what are you doing? And why are you in this position? I said, I don't know, but go ahead and do what you know best. And literally one by one, everybody did their part. So beautifully. And I take no credit for it because truly, truly, they did it all. And let's go to the next page. Before we knew it, it was a truly, truly, truly beautiful labor of love. Now, Dr. Goldstein and Dr. Reddy have come to me. Everything is all done, and they said, we need you to write an invitation for Swami. Again, I can't draw to save my life, and I have to make an invitation. So I tried my best. And typically, what does an invitation have? What details? Date? Place? Time? So I'm not really sure what I wrote in that invitation, but when Dr. Goldstein and Dr. Reddy offered it to Swami, and I guess maybe everyone trusted in my ability to do this, Swami read the invitation and said, very nice, when is it? Because it was not on there. Where is it? Because it was not on that invitation. So then Swami said, I will come tomorrow, 8 a.m. Oh my goodness, it was like unbelievable, trying to get everything ready. And 8 a.m. happened, 8:15, 8:20, 8:30, and so on and so forth, and Swami didn't come. We had many 8 a.m.s and 3 p.m.s every day. Every day, people, young adults from around the world, tirelessly swept all the petals that kept falling from the flowers. Tirelessly kept keeping this place spotless because Swami is coming. Missed darshan after darshan. After a while, I took responsibility for their missing darshan. And we sat together in a group and I said, please go to darshan. If Swami comes, he comes. But please don't miss darshan. And nobody wanted to leave. They said, we feel Swami here so much that we don't even want to go see Swami physically. That was the kind of unity and love that developed over the days. Nobody dared to fight with anybody because Swami was going to come. And all we kept thinking to ourselves was, why can't we live like that at home? Why can't we keep our homes this clean? Because Swami may come. We'll go to the next. And the next. So I'm just going to show you some glimpses of, I could do a thesis on this event because it was just remarkable. Namasmarna wall, all related to actually the 9-point code of conduct. This was from UK, we'll keep going. So then what happened, now we have crowds and crowds of people coming. So we decided, this is getting very messy. We can't have ladies and gents coming at the same time. So let's organize it. And I don't remember now the details, but I know like in the morning, one time is a shopping time for ladies and another evening is for men, right? Or vice versa. So we decided, okay, we're putting a sign, let's get organized. Ladies only for that morning, starting that morning or the next morning, we said tomorrow morning, make sure the sign is there, ladies only. Any gent that wants to come in, please send them back politely and tell them to come in the evening. So who comes first thing in the morning? Not Swami. A group of, no, we'll go back to the previous slide. You see the bottom picture? A group of gents, but not any gents. Swami's students from the Institute. And they didn't just happen to show up. An announcement was said in the loudspeaker for them at the Institute that Swami has told them to go to the exhibition hall. And so we said, okay. And before you knew it, ladies, even the Anantapur girls or other girls, Swami then sent word for all the schools. Suddenly all the institute, the school, everyone is coming and saying Swami has sent word that he wants the students to come and see this work from the international youth. And before we knew it, we'll go to the next slide. Before we knew it, bhajans, you name it, the chefs who were cooking and the sevadals and all youth from Nepal, from everywhere, everybody wants to congregate there and sing bhajans. And it became Kulwant Hall for everyone. None of the youth, nobody wanted to leave that place from morning to night and night to morning if they could stay. Well, so in the end, Swami did not physically come. And I'll be very honest with you, I still don't know till today, and I always wondered, Swami, why didn't you come? So it was my job, I was waiting. It was supposed to be an opportunity for me to take Swami around the entire exhibition hall. But he never came. 2008 happened, the education conference, and Dr. Reddy asked me again to help out with the exhibition. And this time, I'm kind of used to the drill. So Swami was supposed to come. At the time, All India President Srinivasan, he would come and talk to us and say, Swami is coming. And at that time, we were nowhere ready. And Krishna now was 4 years old, and he refused to leave me alone. My mom was there to help, but he refused to go. He says, Mama, I'll stay with you. We used to be working till midnight, 1 o'clock in the Purnachanda auditorium. He says, just give me a cushion. I'll sleep on the cushion, but I'll stay here. And there was a time when he was on my shoulder, sleeping. And we had to get this work done. So All India President Srinivasan, he came by and he said, Amma, Swami's coming in a day or two. I said, yes, uncle. And he looked at my son Krishna sleeping on me and he says, will you be ready? And I said, I guess, if Swami wills it, we will be ready. And yet another experience of someone who doesn't know what's going on, but it will happen. Well, I've been there, as they say, been there, done that. Swami's coming, and he's not. Swami's coming, and he's not. So many days went by like that, and I got used to it. I'm used to it. I said, yeah, he's coming, and he's not. I know. And so one day, we were just sitting around the altar, and I dozed off. I actually dozed off from meditating. And suddenly someone woke me up and said, Swami's coming. I said, yes, I know, and then he's not. And she said, no, Swami's coming, he's on his way. And we just scurried and ran. So I was really sleepy, I have to tell you. So there was no excitement for me. And he did come, and let's just show. This is Dr. Reddy introducing.
Swami were teaching from South Africa, from USA, as respecting parents. Activities from Brazil. Stories from USA Some of the poems and children all around the house.
So I always feel that Swami, in the end, came, and he gave me an opportunity. Now, it's very interesting because that exhibition was not for me to even show him anything. My role in that exhibition was, because I was not involved with SSE at all. So my role was just to help with the printout and the layout and do other things. So when Swami was coming, I was told that I could be in that children's area. And I said, what should I speak about? What should I show Swami? And they said, anything you want. I said, what do you mean? Anything. Talk to Swami about anything, any key points. So at that moment, it was my job to just show Swami around. And somebody once asked me, they said, somebody earlier said, there was sort of like a formal relationship with you and Swami at that time. And it was interesting because Dr. Reddy is introducing me to Swami. And I remember standing there thinking, this is my Swami, this is my God. How can anyone introduce me to him or him to me? But at that moment, it was official. At that moment, my job was to just do nothing but explain the exhibition. And Swami was there as Swami watching the exhibition. And it's very hard to be able to differentiate at that point, because at that point you want to say, Swami, my children, my this, my that, but that's not what that moment is about. And for me, it was hard to separate the two. The next day, this darshan was very interesting. So actually a couple days later, another young adult and myself, we were sitting in darshan, and we were just reminiscing the good old days of World Youth Conferences and how Swami used to talk to us, and now we have kids, and now it's not the same anymore, and Swami doesn't talk to us as much anymore, and we just miss those good old days. And at some point, I think we even started complaining about Swami. And so we were very unhappy. We were disgruntled young adults. And we were just like, that's it. We're both feeling it. That's it. All the young adults are feeling it. Our group, it's not like the 90s at all. So darshan was over, Aarti was over, but Swami had not yet left. Suddenly, Swami comes out in his wheelchair, and there's somebody with a tray of gold coins. And now, we are sitting in the front, actually, and Swami comes straight after, I think, because we had a lot of time while he was in his interview and all that, we had at least a good half an hour chat, complaining session. After all that, Swami comes straight to us and throws chocolate coins to us. And before you knew it, and we were shocked because we didn't know, we said, it looks like Swami is coming this way. How could it be? How could it be? And he came straight and threw chocolate coins to us. And before you knew it, he was going around the entire section, even to the wheelchair ladies, and throwing chocolate, and everybody is going crazy, and everyone's saying, what is this? And he did a second round, so there I am in the pink sari, and he came twice and gave us chocolates. And this is very special for me. I still have those chocolates in the freezer. It's very special because it was not just any day. It was the day that I complained. And it made it very special because it showed me that he truly, truly listens to everything, every single thing. Like I said, Swami doesn't forget. We may forget what we say, but he doesn't. We'll go to the next slide. And the next. Yeah, I'm going to read this. So in part of our 2001 interview, Swami, one of the devotees said, Swami, can we take you back with us? And Swami, holding out his hand, says, I am always ready. I am always here, pointing to his heart. And then somebody said, Swami, please give a message. Then Swami got upset and says, I'm not giving any more message. My life is my message. We'll go to the next slide. So this is very important. I've had many experiences over the years, starting with, okay, perfect timing. Thank you. I've had many experiences over the years, some which I've shared with you, some which I might have even forgotten, some, and they've been special in different ways. Right from the beginning of my journey where Swami really got me. But I would say of all the times that I have been with Swami, the Second World Youth Conference would probably have to be the most touching and something that I will always keep in my heart. At the Second World Youth Conference, it was the third day, it was November 21st, 1999, Swami was giving a discourse. Now, when Swami gives love, he absolutely showers it. And we know that he especially gives love to youth. So in that discourse, we were sitting up front. I remember there was heavy rain. And Swami was talking. As usual, he was giving his discourse to the youth. And then he ended. And then he started talking again. And then the Lord of the universe, the avatar, the Lord of the universe, says to the youth, and everyone gathered at Kulwant Hall, I think I am troubling you by talking too much. The Lord of the universe says to us, I think I am troubling you by talking too much. And then he says, am I troubling you? And everyone says, no, no, Swami. And he goes on. Swami shows us through his, like he said, I have no more message to give, my life is my message. Swami has shown us through his example the greatest form of humility. He never once pushed us for anything. Even in summer course, when he invited us to come to the youth, to the 70th birthday, the 6th World Conference in November, we shamelessly said, Swami, somebody said, Swami, money, Swami, date, it's college time, November. We're here already in May and June. Now you want us to come back in November? The Lord of the universe was inviting us to come, and we shamelessly say, no, 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 Swami, we can't. And Swami had looked at us and said, money? Swami can rain money if he wants. Come. Then we said, Swami, this November, 1995, the 70th birthday. And he said, yes, come. We didn't know then why. He didn't tell us. He could have easily told us, and then, because that's what we do, right? Why? We ask our parents, we ask people, why? Why should I come? Give me a good reason to come. Even the Lord of the universe. He didn't tell us, but it was November 1995 when all of us were gathered there, and nobody knew why we came. So the boys had come also. Other youth from around the world had come. Nobody knew why. There was a meeting. There were workshops happening. And suddenly, a group of youth decided, from Malaysia and other places, that why not all, there's so many youth here, why don't we just get a conference room and sit together and talk about what is relevant to us? There was no youth international movement at the time. But Swami planted that seed. And before you knew it, all of us were there. And it was that November 1995 that the discussion of the first World Youth Conference happened for 97. It was that time in November 1995 that the young adult movement in the US started, because we met with other young adult leaders around the world. But Swami didn't tell us that. He didn't even tell us that he was going to allow us to be part of that pioneering movement. He just wanted us to have faith in him, to believe in him. He just said, come. And Swami then at this World Youth Conference is telling us, I think I'm troubling you by talking too much. I'm going to close because I want to end with Swami's words. I want to first again express my gratitude for calling me here. And what I always tell my SSE kids, and it was so nice to hear this from the play here too, I always tell all my SSE kids, if there's nothing else you learn in this world, just know that you always have, and if there's no other teaching you remember, you don't remember the 5 Ds, the 3 Ps, and everything else, the 4 Fs. Remember one very, very important life lesson, that you always have one friend who will never leave you, who will be with you all the time, anytime, in you, around you, everywhere. And that is your friend inside. Sit down. Go ahead.
And once you start waving your tail, there's something much in mind.
డివైన్ మైండ్
Have the divine mind.
డివైన్ మైండ్ లో ఉండండి, కానీ డీప్ వైన్ మైండ్ లో మాత్రం పోకూడదు.
Be in the divine mind, but not in the deep wine mind.
దీన్ని మనం ఏమాత్రము ప్రవేశపెట్టకూడదు.
Don't entertain
ఆ
that.
విధమైనటువంటి యొక్క పవిత్రమైనటువంటి యువకులు నాకు అత్యంత అవసరము.
Bhagavan needs sacred young men and women.
వారందరూ నాకు సమీపులే.
They're so close to
వారే
Bhagavan.
మై డియర్ ఫ్రెండ్స్.
They are dear friends of Bhagavan, Baba.
అట్టి స్వామీజీకి డియర్ ఫ్రెండ్స్ మీరు కావాలనుకుంటే తప్పక మీరు నడుచుకోండి.
If you want to be dear friends of Bhagavan, conduct yourself
మీరు ఇక్కడ
properly.
రానక్కర్లేదు, నేనే అక్కడికి వస్తాను.
You don't need to come here. Bhagavan will come to you.
ఐ విల్ కమ్ దేర్ wherever you stay.
Bhagavan promises, I will come there.
Wherever
I
you
will come
stay,
there.
I will come there.
Bhagavan will come to you.
I am with you,
I am with you.
in you, around you, behind you.
Bhagavan promises, declares that Bhagavan is in you, with you,
ఆ
around
విధమైన
you.
బుద్ధులు